Hey guys, Andrea and Harley apparently here, back with another video. Today I thought we could do something a little different, hopefully interesting, hopefully it will turn out, but I'm going to be doing my whole face using sample makeup. So in this bag I've compiled a bunch of things that I've gotten from subscription boxes or gifts with purchase, or just like the samples that you can ask for at Sephora. If you didn't know that, you can go into Sephora and you can ask them, like, say, I want to try such and such a foundation in this shade, and they'll mix you up a little pot of it that you can take home and try. And so I've got a couple of those in there. Things that don't normally come in subscription boxes are like things that are skin tone specific, so basically foundation, concealer, things like that. So let's go ahead and get started and hope this works out. So I did go ahead and use this little sample of the Clinique Pep Start Hydro Blur Moisturizer just to kind of moisturize my skin already. I am going to go in with a primer. I have a couple different ones here. I think I'm going to try and mix. I've got two illuminating primers and then just the Makeup Forever Step 1 Skin Equalizer. And I think I'm a little worried about this Becca one being too dark for my skin. So I think I'm going to stick with the Makeup Forever Step 1 Skin Equalizer. Got that on my finger and I'm just going to go ahead and dot that around. Alright, so that feels very strange, like velvety, but also like I didn't feel like it spread around my skin very much. And maybe I just didn't use enough, or maybe it's kind of fighting with that Clinique product that I used. I am going to go ahead and use a little bit of the Cover FX Illuminating Face Base on my cheekbones and I think my nose, just to give a little bit of glow, because I don't have a highlighter. I don't think I have like a sample highlighter other than like these ones that are meant to go underneath. So we'll see how I can survive a day without my highlight. I do have the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector here too. This is in the shade Opal. Since I don't have a highlighter and since it might be too dark, I am just gonna go ahead and place it before foundation, just to be safe, so that if it does pull off a little bit dark, we can adjust it with foundation. If it doesn't seem too dark, which I think it is, I think that if I use it before foundation should cancel out some of the darkness in it. So now I'm going to go in with foundation. This is the Marc Jacobs Remarkable Foundation in 10 Ivory Light. This is one of the Sephora samples I was talking about, so they just like put it in this little baggie, mark it, but it comes in, they like put some in a little pot. I'm just going to go ahead and use my finger and place this around my skin. Since I have never used this before, get that guy covered up, hopefully. That'll really test this foundation. Since I've never used this before, I am going to go ahead and kind of make it like a mini first impressions on some of these products. And so I will use a sponge on half of my face and a brush on half of my face. Something I really appreciate about the samples that they give you at Sephora, I have tons left. Like, I just barely touched the top part of this container, so I can get a good probably week or maybe even a little bit longer out of this, so I can really test it out and see if I like it and if it's one that I want to get next time I need a foundation. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with the brush on this side. The color seems like a good match. It's canceling out my redness pretty well. I maybe didn't need to use so much product. That's probably my main thing that I do wrong. I just assume that there's not going to be any coverage in things, and so I just use a ton of it. But man, that even covered up my dark circles really well. I have a lot of blemishes on this side of my face. It seems to be covering them really, really well. And I appreciate the skin tone of it. So I'm going to go in on this side with my sponge and see what we think. That covered pretty darn well in that spot there. So right off the bat, that gives pretty dang good coverage. I am going to go ahead and just go over a couple little blemishes one more time just to see how it builds in coverage, because I'm curious about that. But so far, I think the shade match is really, really good, and I think that the coverage is pretty impressive. So I think the coverage of that is really, really good. You can kind of see it clinging a little bit to a little bit of dry patches, especially like around my nose. My skin definitely does not look perfect. I think maybe if I like prepped my skin a little bit better, or I had exfoliated or something like that, maybe this would have worked a little bit better for my skin. So I'm definitely going to play around with it. I definitely don't think that there's anything bad about it. I just need to kind of get more comfortable with it. But so far, I really like that. I'm going to go ahead and go in with another Sephora sample. I didn't have a concealer. I think a lot of subscription boxes refrain from sending you skin tone specific products, which I do appreciate because as someone that's not in the middle shade range that they typically send, I kind of never really have luck. So this is the Kat Von D concealer in light 1. I'm going to go ahead and use it underneath my eyes and then potentially on some blemishes. Oh, I love the shade of this already because I can never find concealer to brighten underneath my eyes because I'm so fair that it just blends more or less. So I do appreciate that she does a good job of hitting a wide variety of shades. I am going to go in with the Real Technique sponge. My under eyes look very bright and awake, and I have dark circles, so that's saying something. I am going to set it, and to do that, I'm using my third and final Sephora sample thing. And this is, she didn't write anything on the bag. That lady wasn't my favorite. But I am going to use, this is, I think, the Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Under Eye Powder. So again, a good little sample. I'm just going to kind of use it to bake ever so slightly. So I'm going to put a real thick, heavy layer on. And then I'm going to go in with the Dermablend Professional Loose Setting Powder that I got in a Sephora Play Box, I believe, and just set the rest of my face. And I am going to use my sponge to bake the lower side of my face, especially these blemishes, my chin area, and then my lower cheek. And so now I'm just going to take a little bit on this Real Techniques brush and set the brush. Next, let's move on to eyebrows. All I really have for eyebrow samples is I have an Anastasia Clear Brow Gel. Can't hold on to anything. Clear Brow Gel sample, which I know I love this, so I will use that. And then I have these Anastasia little powder packets that they send you, like that you can just... Does anybody else get like Mary Kay vibes when you see stuff like this? So I think I'm going to go in with this shade, which I don't know what the shades are. I think this is like, must be like their taupe shade, which I think will be the best match for me. So I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. brush, which has a spoolie on the end. Brush through my brows. Alright, so that's about as good as my brows are ever going to get. I like that. I mean, I don't mind using a powder to do my brows. I find it pretty easy, typically. And I had no doubt that Anastasia would kill it in a brow game. I am going to go ahead and go in with the Clear Brow Gel just to set them in place because... Again, I know I like it. Why not? So now I'm just going to go in and wipe this powder off the under eye area. As always, use whatever is left on the brush to kind of go over that area. So let's go in with bronzer. Again, I have a little like packet here. This is the Tarte Park Avenue Princess Bronzer. I don't mind that color or anything. I think it looks fine. Then I'm going to go in with, I don't really have much of a blush, so I pulled this one. This is a Lancome one. It's a subtle blush that I got in like a gift with purchase. So it's still a sample size. It's still little. I figured we could make that work. I'm just going to go ahead and put some of that on the apples of my cheeks. Well, that's not very subtle. I mean, I'm not real mad at that. I wish I had a highlighter. I guess that's my main thing is I wish that I had like a powder highlight. Because that's my favorite type of highlight. I don't want to go over, now that I've set everything in powder, I don't want to go over that with any of those cream highlighters just because I don't think that it would play well with it. But for now, this will do. I mean, this is a makeshift bunch of sample makeup going on my face. I am going to go ahead and take this same bronzer and just go on a fluffy brush and warm up my crease before I go in with the eyeshadow products that I have. So I'm going to go in with this Laura Mercier Rose Gold Caviar Stick Eye Color. It's just like a roll-up eye crayon. And just go all over the lid with that. It blended easily onto the eye with a lot of pigment. I think a lot of times subscription boxes and sample boxes will put in a lot of primers, mascaras, and lippies. Those are the things that I tend to see the most, at least. I'm going to go in with this little mini eyeliner. It's a Smashbox Limitless Eyeliner Crayon in Onyx. It was just like a little sample that I got, like a free gift with purchase, I think, more or less. And just line real close to the lash line. I am going to take a smaller brush here and dip it into the bronzer and go underneath my lower lash line. And then I am going to tight line and do the waterline. I'm going to go in with this Bobbi Brown mascara. It just says Smoky Eye Mascara on it. I can't remember what box I got this in, but I think maybe Sephora Play? I don't know. So there we have it. I like that mascara. I think it added a good amount of volume and length. I did 2 coats quick on each eye. I didn't wait very long for them to dry in between, and I'm not looking too spidery. I am going to go in with the NARS Velvet Lip Glide in the shade Bound. This is a great everyday color, I think, for me specifically. It does not dry down matte. It is kind of a glossy look, but it's such a pretty everyday color. Overall, I don't think it looks bad. Like, I'll wear this out of the house and not feel too self-conscious. I will probably pop on some of my Tarte powder foundation just on a couple of these blemishes just so that I feel a little bit more secure. And then maybe pop on some highlighter, especially on my nose. It's looking a little dry. But other than that, like, for using sample products, this is not a bad base. I don't think it's not too terrible. I really appreciate the shades of that Marc Jacobs foundation and the Kat Von D concealer because I feel like they actually highlighted or worked well with my skin tone. I overall am not mad at it. I think it turned out better than I thought it would. Sometimes I get a little nervous using new products and things like that, but it was fun to kind of go through some of those samples that I maybe don't reach for on an everyday basis because I'm so used to my routine. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Comment down below with anything else you'd like to see. If you want to see maybe another one of these in the future with products that I didn't use or things like that, just let me know. Or if you ever see anything in any of my subscription unboxings that you want me to use, go ahead and let me know, and I will be happy to do that for you guys. Check me out on Twitter and Instagram at @AndHaysBeauty. I love to interact with you guys on there. Subscribe if you're new here, and go ahead and click that bell button to be notified every time I upload a video so you don't miss any of my craziness. And I will see you next time. Thanks again so much for watching. See you soon.